Hey Flosstube, it's Lori of MischievousStitches. I'm back again this weekend just to share what I've been up to this week. I've continued to work on my Smoky Mountain Christmas this week. I've gotten a little farther into the tree line and completed more of the sky. I've actually reached the end margin of the first full page, but I have yet to reach the bottom margin. I did this week decide to drop down. I was so excited to get to a point where I could drop down and start on one of the bears. I'm calling him Smoky, and I know it's Smoky Mountain Christmas, but you know, Smoky the bear. And I was able to drop down and get started on his snout. So that was, you know, it was nice to have a change of color and not to be stitching with a teal or a blue shade. So I enjoyed working on him this week. But this coming week I'm going to have to put him down because I've got homework to do for a stitch along that I'm participating in. So this weekend I was lucky enough to visit a shop near me, and I completed the supplies I needed to get started on my homework for that stitch along. And I'll show you those in a moment. But more about the shop that I visited. So my friend Pam invited me to join her and a few of our other local friends to take a day trip to visit a new to us stitch shop. If you've not heard about it, it's called Poppies. It is in Summerville, South Carolina, and they opened up this past Monday. We wanted to go down and just show our support to Susan and her staff. Here's her business card. We were so excited. That gives us now 3 shops in South Carolina. We have Panda's Crossing, as well as the Stitch and Frame in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and now Poppies in the low country of Summerville. So we got up and left first thing yesterday morning, and I decided on the way that I wasn't going to blow the budget. I was going to go in there with an idea, maybe pick up a new pattern, but get supplies for something that I was currently working on or had agreed to work on. So I got the supplies I needed for that stitch along. But when we got there, when we arrived at Poppies and we went in, there were already 2 friends there. It was Karen of Karen's Handiwork. You can find her on Instagram, as well as Nicole from Nicole's Needlework here on Flosstube. They were there shopping already, and they were getting ready to leave. And of course, what did you buy? What's in your bag? So they shared that with all of us, and we didn't chat very long because we were ready to shop. So there were 6 of us that traveled up together in total. It was my friend Pam, Nancy, Mary, Janine, and Jane. We all went up together. And we had been friends for many years, so there was lots of laughter, sharing of old memories, just telling stories and just enjoying our time together. I had a really great time. So I have no idea how long we stayed in that shop, but I'm going to show you what I did buy while I was there. I got a 3/4 of a yard of Patriots Brew by R&R. I had 2 different cuts that equal up to that 3/4 yard, but one is for my homework piece, and one is for the patterns that I kitted up while I was there. And if you've not seen these before, they're the new Jeanette Douglas Sew Together series. Now, I've been on the fence about buying these because it's a series, not knowing how many were going to be in the series. But when I looked it up, there are currently only 4 in the series. There were no plans to be more. And then I come home and I'm sharing these purchases with a friend, and she says, well, Jeanette's thinking of doing more. Well, I hope they're not ones that I need, because I've already had my fabric cut and I want to get started on these. So I'm going to share them with you. Number 1 is samplers. Number 2 is pins and needles. Number 3 is scissors and threads. I think this is my favorite of the 4. And then 4 is flax and linen. So I picked up these as well as the linen to stitch them on. I did not grab the threads But I must tell you, it's not because they didn't have the threads there. There was a whole wall of threads hanging, with a spotlight on the wall that made those threads all the more appetizing to a stitcher's eye. I did look through that. She had silks, she had specialty fibers, she had the Krynic spools, she had our main staple of sampler threads and Week Style Works and Classic Color Works were there, and 3 spinner racks of other types of flosses. And across from that wall, there was a wall of linens and Aida fabrics. Now, they were displayed in a way that I had not seen, as they were hanging from trouser hangers, which actually was nice, because you could go through, you could see, you compare the one color to another, and they were separated by fabric count, like the 36 count and the 40 count, and that was really nice. The Aida was separated from the linen, so you knew where to go if you paid attention to, to the indicators. You knew where to go to look for what you wanted. It was very easy for me, the shopper, to go in there and search out what I wanted with little to no help. I did like that a lot. She also had the hand-dyed linens there as well as the hand-dyed Aidas. So she had the bright, sparkly fabrics on down to just the general everyday hand-dyed earth tony colors. So she had something for everyone, is what I'm saying. Off from that area with the threads and the linens, she had a stitch room. So several of us got done shopping before others. And so we just sat down in the stitch room and chatted, where she also had, the owner Susan, had Lowry stands set up that you could use or actually give it a try to see if you wanted to purchase one, which I thought was a great idea. So if you're ever there with a group like we were, and you do have fast shoppers or those that want to take a little more time, you can bring your stitching, you can sit down. She welcomes you to sit down and stitch in the shop, or just come over for an hour or so and just sit down and stitch and enjoy being in a shop or being around people that enjoy stitching as much as you do. So as we're sitting there, she also has a huge big screen TV, and that you can see from the front of the shop all the way back. And she had Flosstube playing. So as we're sitting there shopping and chatting and making memories, Vanna Pfeiffer's right there with us playing in the background. And that was pretty awesome to have Vanna right there with us. She didn't even know it, but Vanna was there with us. I have no idea, as I said, how long we were there. It seems like any time I go in a stitch shop, it's like a time warp. I'm not punching a clock, so I have no idea what time we walked in. I would gauge probably around 10:30 to 11ish. But I know that it seems like when you walk out of a stitch shop, you think, I can't believe I was in there that long. Every time. Or at least that's that way with me. But anyway, if you're ever in the Summerville area, or you're from South Carolina and you're thinking about making a trip, please do. Stop by there, take a Saturday, a Sunday, check out Susan's hours, because they're not the traditional hours. I do believe she's open on Sundays as well, but take that trip down there and show her our support for a new shop opening here in South Carolina. I know she'd welcome you, she'd look forward to you being there, and I hope you'll check out her Facebook page. I don't think she's on Instagram, but here's her Facebook page listed there below. Check her out. After we left Fire Poppies, not too far down the road, there was a quilt shop, and it's named People, Places, and Quilts. It was my first time visiting that shop. I didn't even know it was there, even though I've been to Summerville several times. And it was amazing. It was amazing. It was a split-level shop that was full of jelly rolls and redwork embroidery and quilts, and there were crocheted antique afghans and fat quarters and just bolts and bolts and bolts of all different kinds of fabrics that, just inspired. There was needle minders and sewing machines, and it was just a treasure trove for a needlewoman. Even if you're just a cross stitcher walking into a quilt shop, is inspiring and it gives you ideas, because they use a lot of the same tools we do. Pin cushions and needle minders and those kind of things. So even though you're not a quilter, you can still walk into a quilt shop as a cross stitcher and be inspired. So I'm going to show you the few things that I did pick up there. I picked up, this is Auntie's 2 patterns, Bailey Island Hobo. In this bag here, they had one completed, and they used, the majority of it was completed with the jelly roll. Unfortunately, the one they had made the model by, they did not have any more of that jelly roll. But the bag, I'm a bag lady. I've shared that with you all before. I'm a tall woman, and this bag actually was long, very long. It come actually to the bottom of my waist, which I thought was perfect. Whether it be a trip to the beach, or if you're going away to sit with a friend for a stitch day, to use as a stitch bag, that kind of thing. And so I picked this up. So when I finally have the skills, or am comfortable with the skills I have to work up this bag, it'll be easy to find a jelly roll, but it might not necessarily be so easy to find the pattern. So I went ahead and picked that up. I also picked up this pattern, and it's called A Little Bit Shorter Tall Tree. And it's going to be a wall hanging. That's what it will look like when it's completed. And of course it's much bigger than this tiny little picture. But if you want to see both this piece and this piece finished up, you can go to my Instagram and take a look at the pictures from yesterday, and you'll see both of these pieces, because I did take pictures of them so that I can refer back to them when I go to actually work on them. I also picked up this. I had never made yo-yos, but I have seen yo-yo quilts. In my mind, what I'd like to do is, when I'm finishing pin pillows, to have yo-yos on my pin pillows. So I picked up this Clover yo-yo maker. And this is the size yo-yo that it makes. It looks like it's about the size of a quarter. They had one that was smaller and one that was larger than this one. But this is about the size that I need. But if I find I need another size, at least I know what to look up that I can go for it. So I bought this to use when making pin pillows. As far as the homework, in my last video I showed you that the silk ribbons that I bought to complete a stitch along I was working at. These are the 2 colors that I showed you. I was hoping for a darker plum when I purchased these, and of course I got to the shop yesterday and I could not find, this is the one I decided to go with, it's a dark blue, and I could not find a blue that matched well enough for me to use this color. So I decided to go with the purple, and it's DMC 3740 is what I'm using, and it's here. And it actually matches it much better than it's showing in this. I think it's just the lighting, but it matches a lot better than what it's showing in this video. That doesn't even look good. That right there is a little better. That's about how it looks. But anyway, so there's that. So I was happy to get all the supplies I needed to complete the homework. I also got something in the mail this week. I will be attending a Biscorn New finishing class in this coming month, and I did not have a Biscorn New pattern that, you know, made me happy. So I'm watching Country Stitchers, or is that it? Country Stitchers, Liz and Deb. I was watching them this week, and Liz showed this piece, which is Heartstring Samplery's Brown Bird Biscorn New, and I immediately paused and went and purchased this. I love everything about it, but mainly just how dense the stitches are on this piece. Where most Biscorn News, there's a lot more open areas. There's not very much stitching around the finished edges, but if you look closely here at the 3 different there on the bottom, you'll see what I mean. I love that the center of this is finished like that. And then look at the corners. Just, it's beautiful. So as soon as I finish my homework for this stitch along, I need to get working on this one so I'll have it ready for the finishing class. And since I was there and since no pattern can travel along, I also ordered Heartstrings Samplery's Schoolhouse Coverlet Drum. Because guess what? I've never stitched a drum. Since I'm learning one skill, I might as well pick up this one and learn another. Now with it being a schoolhouse, I'm not sure why Beth chose this black. Is it black? Yes, it's Fathom. More like a black and gray. But I will probably change this up to red. But I reserve the right to change my mind at a later date. Stitcher's prerogative and all of that. But there's this. And I think that's it for this week. So in the coming week, I will do my homework for the stitch along. I hope to find a little more time to work on Smoky Mountain Christmas, but if not, I'll pick it up the following week. And until next time, hugs and stitches. Bye-bye.